All right, guys. So for experiment number 4, we're going to build a series circuit. A series circuit is a kind of circuit that uses one continuous path for multiple loads. So in this case, we're going to build a series circuit with resistor 1 and resistor 2. So the first step here that it's asking us to document is the value of R1 and the value of R2. So value in a resistor is going to be in ohms. So I'm going to rotate my selector on my multimeter to ohms. I'm going to take my test leads and I'm going to measure the value of R1, which will be the same as it was in experiment number 1, 9.6 volts in this case. R2, 9.8 volts, 9.9 volts. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference in R1 because the temperature has changed since we ran current through there. So when temperature changes, resistance changes. So R1 and R2 are pretty close, about 9.8 ohms each. So the next thing here, it says calculate the total resistance of the circuit. To calculate total resistance in a series circuit, we simply add R1 plus R2, and that gives us the total circuit resistance. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do step 5 and wire up this circuit. So to wire up a series circuit using resistor R1 and R2, we're going to go from our power source to R1. Then we're going to take another wire, and the reason we would be using a red wire is because there's still going to be voltage present coming out of R1 and then into R2. Then we'll switch to a black wire because after R2, all of the voltage should have been consumed. And then we'll head on down to ground. So we simply are connecting the two resistors in one continuous path from power source to resistor, from resistor to the next resistor, from the next resistor to ground. Okay? So right now the circuit is on. I left my board on here, and then it says use your multimeter, measure the voltage of the circuit. So I'm going to measure the voltage of the entire circuit, and then it's going to say to calculate the amps. So the voltage of this circuit, we're simply going to go from the first resistor to the last resistor to see how much total voltage it's using. I need to make sure I'm selecting my multimeter to the correct location. We're measuring volts. We're using the 20 volt scale, and I'm going to go to the R1 out of R2, and that's 10.08 volts, and we had about 19 to 18 ohms. You should be able to calculate your amperage coming through that circuit using the numbers we measured for experiment 4.